On the new chapter of JoJolion, the head doctor's in town and he's prescribing some fun. Mitsuba learns the true meaning of family, and Yasuho can't stand the Higashikatas. All this and more, this time on JoJolion. As we first open up chapter 94 of JoJolion, we are greeted with the image of Paisley Park with the Morio map superimposed over its face. We can clearly see that Paisley Park has undergone many design changes since its initial unveiling. When Paisley Park was first shown, it resembled a more motherly looking version of Yasuho, as if acting like the type of mother she wished she had over the one she actually does have. But as time has gone on, Paisley Park has started resembling Yasuho more and more in appearance, as if implying that Yasuho has adopted these more motherly characteristics for herself. Normally, Paisley Park is coded with generic GPS iconography, but in this case it's covered with the map of Morio instead. The layout of the map makes it look like Paisley Park's face is breaking apart, as if foreshadowing the disintegration it faces later on in the chapter. Chapter 94 starts up right where the last chapter left off, with Paisley Park having been recently thrown into the toilet by Jobin. We see the Walleyes for the first time in a while, and their connection to the Higashikata equivalent exchange is reiterated upon. Jobin's short-term goal is to rid Tsurugi of the rot disease, but his more long-term goal is to make sure that the Higashikatas no longer need to sacrifice themselves in order to save their eldest sons. We're also shown Kado again. Kado has been consistently mentioned since her initial appearance, but she has rarely ever been actually seen. It's clear that Araki has some plans for her, but her sparse appearances make it difficult to place her role in the story. We'll just have to see. Jobin attempts to calm Tsurugi, but he's misreading the situation. Back when Kado cured Jobin of the rat disease, his childhood bully was used as a collateral for the exchange. From this, Jobin learned to sacrifice others in order to achieve his own goals. He expects Tsurugi to understand this just as he did when he was a child, but Jobin doesn't seem to realize that Yasuho and Tsurugi actually are quite close. He seems to only think of Yasuho as someone who is collaborating with Gappy. As such, it's unlikely that he understands just how much Tsurugi is panicking here. We see Yasuho attempting to escape the toilet, but she's unsuccessful. Unlike other types of long-distance stands, Paisley Park must be bound to an electronic device. So if the device takes damage, then so does Yasuho. Yasuho cries out for help, but no one comes. It's difficult not to feel a bit annoyed at Gappy in this moment. If he had actually listened to Yasuho about the Rokakaka branch, then it's very likely that Yasuho wouldn't be suffering so much right now. Nevertheless, Mitsuba does end up coming to Yasuho's aid, at least temporarily. Mitsuba hasn't exactly acted like the most morally righteous person in the past, but she clearly values people close to her, including her friends. While she and Jobin ultimately both want to do what's best for Tsurugi, they still argue about whether this is actually necessary. Mitsuba is pretty adamant about saving Yasuho up until she notices the head doctor outside of the Higashikata estate. The weird timeline that has been going on makes it feel like this guy is everywhere at once. It really adds to his whole incomprehensible nature. His appearance is enough to make Mitsuba abandon Yasuho out of fear for her family's safety. With her final means of escape cut off, Yasuho tumbles into the Higashikata estate, and in the process loses an arm. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is no stranger to dismemberment, but it feels especially awful seeing it happen to Yasuho. She's such a good person, and life just seems to constantly screw her over. Jobin and Mitsuba discuss the head doctor, and it becomes apparent that he actually doesn't really know all that much about the head doctor. Everyone in the story seems to be operating under different levels of information, which is interesting if a bit hard to keep track of. Mitsuba also elaborates on what she believes the head doctor stand's ability to be. Something odd is going on here though, because Mitsuba's explanation is completely different from Gappy and Rai's explanation of the ability. My first impression was that Mitsuba was misinterpreting how the ability works. But on further consideration, I realized that the way the ability is portrayed in this chapter seems to better fit Mitsuba's definition than Gappy and Rai's definition. It's very possible that the true explanation for the stand is somewhere in the middle between what both are interpreting. As Paisley Park withers away, the head doctor's stand causes the wall to break, unveiling the new Rokakaka fruit. Huh. So the Rokakaka looks way different from how it used to. The original Rokakaka resembled a spiky fig, but this looks more like a tomato with some weird leaves hanging off the side. The chapter ends with the line, "the form of the fruit that reveals misfortune," implying that this change is somehow negative. This change in appearance almost certainly reflects a change in properties as well. Now what could possibly be the reason for why the fruit changed so much? It's very possible that this is simply the ripened version of the new Rokakaka fruit that Josefumi originally cultivated. The fruit that he gave to Kira was actually a week away from being fully ripened, so it would make sense that it would change significantly in the time remaining. So this new variant of the Rokakaka could potentially just be a souped up version of Josefumi's Rokakaka. This lends credence to my theory that the new Rokakaka fruit will be used to evolve a character's stand ability. We can speculate all day about the effects of this new Rokakaka, but until we actually see it in action, we don't really have much to go off of. It is worth noting though that there's not just one, but two Rokakaka fruits that seem to be usable in this state. One of them appears to be fully ripened, while another seems to be slightly ripe, but not fully ripe. It does seem like a bit of a happy coincidence that we got one more fruit than Rai expected in the same chapter that one of our main characters was mortally wounded, but I guess we'll see what happens. That bigger Rokakaka fruit is definitely going to be central to the story's climax though. Before we finish off, there's a few more things in this chapter that I want to acknowledge. First, I want to acknowledge the flash forward to 13 minutes before the Rokakaka harvest. This chapter takes place about 3 hours before that occurs, so it's worth mentioning right now. During the flash forward, the Higashikata family is completely calm, and not at all worried about Tsurugi's rock disease in any way, which is odd considering our current situation. We also at no point see Jobin, Mitsuba, Norisuke, or the head doctor, so anything can happen with them up until that point. Now you may be wondering, wait, we did see Norisuke, he was in the body bag. But that's just the thing. The Norisuke that we see Tsurugi carry off is knocked out and has an arm cut off. It's clearly Yasuho under the effects of Paper Moon King. This completely recontextualizes the flashback. It originally seemed to imply that something bad happened to Norisuke and it was the fault of Tsurugi, who was trying to hide it from the rest of the Higashikatas. But now we can surmise that it's actually Tsurugi trying to save Yasuho. The big question is, why disguise Yasuho as Norisuke? Why not disguise her as, say, furniture or something? Well, Jobin certainly won't give Tsurugi the Rokakaka, so he needs another way to heal Yasuho. Maybe he's trying to convince the rest of the Higashikatas that Norisuke is injured and needs to be taken to the hospital. That would be a good way of getting Yasuho and Gappy to reunite. Hell, this might even be Norisuke's plan. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In any case, that was chapter 94 of JoJolion. A really good chapter all around, and I'm really interested in seeing what happens with Yasuho and the new Rokakaka. Just a reminder, but there will be no JoJolion chapter next month. Araki is taking a 1-month hiatus and will be returning midway through March. In any case, please have a wonderful day, and I will see you all next time.